Hi, my name is Giles Parkinson. I'm the editor of The Driven, and today we are doing a video on the Audi e-tron sitting here in glorious Catalonia red. Joining me is my son Sam. Thanks for being on the show, Sam.
Oh, well, thanks for having me, and
Yes.
thanks for lending me the car.
Well, no, it was Audi who lent you the car, and Sam's actually just driven it up from Sydney to Byron Bay, and we'll hear more about that trip in a minute. What I wanted to talk to you about here was we've got two cars, the black Tesla and the Catalonia red Audi, and it's really just to illustrate two things. One is the difference in size. This is a big car. I mean, there's many people get used to these big SUVs, and that's what this is, but it's now electric. So it's nearly twice the size and twice the weight of the Model 3, and it turns out it's also about twice the price. In fact, probably more than that. So Sam, you've driven the car from Sydney to Byron. It's a big car. What's it like to drive?
It is a big car and does have a big price tag, but it is actually really nice to drive, as you'd expect from a luxury SUV. It is really heavy, but it doesn't feel so heavy when you're driving it. So it's actually been really nice.
Well, let's go take it for a drive and see what's inside.
Let's do it.
One of the big things about electric vehicles is the regeneration, and basically you take your foot off the accelerator, it would slow down, and that puts extra energy back into the battery, kind of extends your range. I got a bit confused with this one because it's got some paddles here, and I don't think I quite mastered it right. What's you like fiddling with the panels and changing the regen as you go along, don't you?
Well, it's definitely on the highways I find it to be actually quite useful. I find myself not really having to use the brake pedal too much, and the paddles just help determine when I need to slow down, and you can anticipate slowing down and speeding up a lot more when you're on a open road. So yeah, I've been using them quite a lot.
Well, it's interesting what you say about the regen, because Porsche went to all the trouble of actually designing a completely new regenerative system so that they didn't get slowed down when they're on the freeway or doing laps around racing circuits and things like that. But look, Audi seems to come up with a sensible compromise, so that's pretty interesting. So tell me about the range on this vehicle then, Sam.
So this is the Quattro 50 model, a Sportback model, and that gets you about 250 kilometers range.
On the freeway, but presumably more in the city.
You get a little bit more in the city, yeah, due to the regen.
Is it easy to find a fast charging station out on the road?
Certainly not as easy as if you are using the Tesla network. You do have to do a bit more planning. Up the east coast of Australia, there is, relatively speaking to the rest of the country, a decent array of chargers. There's the NRMA network, there's the ChargeFox network, but it does require a bit more planning. So range anxiety does come into it a little bit, especially if you're not used to driving an electric vehicle day to day when you're doing these long road trips.
There are more of them, but they can be hard to find, I think.
Yeah, they can be, so you just got to do a little bit of planning ahead. But it's definitely doable, and I've done it, and it's not really been too bad.
Have you had to queue?
I've not had to queue once. I've not had to wait 1 second, so that's been really nice.
And what have you been doing while it's been charging?
Well, you take a break, you go have a coffee, on these ultra rapid fast chargers, you don't really wait any more than 15-20 minutes anyway, so it's actually a good amount of time, especially if you've been driving for a couple of hours.
Recharging yourself and recharging the car.
Yeah, that's right. 2 at once.
We're sitting inside the Audi here, Sam, and as you'd expect for a $150,000 car, it's very comfortable. Tesla Model 3 has one big screen in the middle. This is a slightly different setup. What have we got?
Well, yeah, that's right. Unlike the Tesla, we've got one screen. We've got 3 different screens here. So the bottom screen, we've got the climate controls. We've got the infotainment in the center console just above it, and then we've got what Audi calls the virtual cockpit, which is your digital dashboard, which you can customize based on what information you want to see. And we've also got a hologram in front.
What's the hologram tell you?
It just tells you how fast you're going, whether you're in the middle of the lane or not. It likes to keep tabs on if you're veering off or not, and also directions.
So you can get different sort of viewing settings in this virtual cockpit.
Yeah, that's right. So you can customize what information you want to see as a priority on the virtual cockpit, which I think is quite nice. You can choose whether you want to see more of the map in front of you, or you can choose whether you want to see more of the state of charge or speedometer.
Tell us about the gear stick then, because it's not in the place where you would normally expect one, I suppose.
That's right, and not so much of a stick, it's more of a toggle. It's quite unusual, I've never seen anything like it before. You lay your hand on top of it, and it's actually quite comfortable, and you use your thumb to toggle between the different gears, whether you want to go in reverse, neutral, or drive. So that's quite different. This is a Quattro 50. It's not even the top spec, but if putting your foot in the pedal, you do really feel it. You don't hear it, but you feel it.